This is a quick documentation about our reference Excel sheet for cross-recouped contracts, which is basically the balance by contract sheet in a new form with some new captions, and specifically for cross-recouped contracts, so meaning grouped contracts which are calculated together, meaning the income from one contract can reduce the Vorschuss from another contract. So the grouping can involve any number of contracts. So we have 4 here identified by their old ALF IDs, but there can be many more, or there can be just 2. 2 is the minimum. The first part is pretty much the same as we always had with physical sales, some reserves for potential returns, dissolved reserves, digital sales licensing income costs, and a result net coming from that. So that's calculated as always on a per contract basis, as well as these values which then in the next step pertain to advances, potential advances. With the original advance, the currently remaining advance, the result from here above, and the decision, well, what to do with this result, and it can do multiple things. It can, if it's positive, it can reduce some remaining advance to a lower level, so those 500 euros reduce it to 600. But it can also happen that it completely, let's enhance the physical sales here, so the result is bigger than the remaining advance, so it can completely draw it down to 0. Obviously, what can also happen is that on the unfortunate case where we have huge costs involved and we get a negative result. So a negative result is copied here, but of course does not draw down the remaining advance at all. So these are the 3 cases. A positive result, which is smaller than the remaining advance, a positive result which is bigger than the remaining advance, which we have here, or a negative result because sales were lackluster or costs were very high. And this is all done on a per contract basis. These 2 are just the sums of the rows on the right for illustration. What is the total original advance of all group contracts and the total remaining advance of all group contracts. Now here comes the second part of the magic, which is that the income of one can draw down the fortunes of others. So first we combine these potential incomes, which are the result after drawing down the remaining advantage of individual contracts, plus from the previous statement any Übertrag, any net carry forward, not to be confused with an advance carry forward. We can carry forward advances, remaining advances. We can carry forward the result of operating, meaning a positive income or a negative loss result, which we want. And that's the user's decision to carry forward or not. So what happens here is we sum up the money we have to draw down other Vorschuss, and we use it. Here there's no remaining advance to be reduced, so we can propagate, and that's the idea of what we're doing here. We take this money and draw down each remaining advance as much as possible with the available money and propagate the rest to the next contract and remaining advance. So here there's no remaining advance to be drawn down. Here's some 3,374.52, and by this amount we have enough money. By this amount we draw it down to 0. There's still some money left. Here there's nothing to draw down, and here as well nothing to draw down. So that money stays and can be either paid to the artist or carried forward to the next statement. This is not an ALV decision, this is a user's decision, and he exercises his choice by selecting archiving with Übertrag, so with carry forward, or archiving without carry forward, meaning the money is being paid out to the artist. Now, what is new here is 2 formula extensions we had for the case where we had high costs. So we consider that case 2, and it was needed. It was needed to enhance this formula with this case if D25, so if the result net of that contract is actually negative, so no money is earned, actually there's a huge cost and we actually have a loss on that product, then obviously we just copy that value here and we don't draw down the advance at all. So this is reflected in this formula, which is then copied to each individual contract.